thinks.
I would say something like, and as our characters bless this meal, we'll sing a blessing, 10-10, give thanks.
Okay.
Something like that, yeah, that would be great.
You don't have a pen up there, do you?
Good morning. My name is LaDawn Edwards. I'm your pulpit host today. My pronouns are she and her. On behalf of the congregation, let me welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Huntsville. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of Native tribes, including the Cree and Blackfoot. Whether you've joined us online or you're here in the sanctuary, we're glad to welcome you to this time when this sacred time we choose to be together. We're an open community of learning, caring, and justice making. You are welcome here, every part of you, just the way you are. Our congregation is served by Minister Jamie Dingus. She is available by contacting the Office for Pastoral Care or to answer your questions about Unitarian Universalism. If you're a newcomer, you are invited to sign our guest book in the foyer back there. It will allow you to receive our weekly newsletter. Underneath the name tag display are hearing assist devices available to anyone who needs them. I want to mention that there are announcements in your order of service right here, 3 of them, which you can read about, including our Habitat for Humanity project. At this time, we ask you to take a moment and silence your electronic devices by putting them into worship mode. If you have a joy, sorrow, or important milestone that you would like to have shared in our circle of candles, you can fill out the white card in the back of the pews. The back of the pews, the white pew cards, and put them along with the offering when we pass the baskets later on. Placed in the offering basket. So, after service, everyone is invited to join us in the fellowship hall for coffee and conversation and snacks. And today we're doing our pageant, so I'm very excited about this because you may have been recruited when you walked in the door, but we're going to have a really good time with it. Yes. So now I would like to invite, it says youth, I'm like Reverend Jamie, to ring the singing bowl to help us enter more deeply into the service. And finally, having gathered in a shared quest for truth, meaning, and purpose, let us light our chalice with these words. I'm really thrilled we're doing Charles Dickens for the pageant this year. And I have the wrong book.
Yeah, it's the one under it's right here.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, huh. Okay. Sorry. Our chalice lighting is by Albert Philander. We hallow this time together by kindling the lamp of our heritage. Right? Okay. We'll be doing the thread song with the music for centering. And the thread song is number 88.
counsel of all things make it mine, to feel amid the city's jar that there abides a peace of thine. I did not make and cannot mar.
Good morning, friends. Welcome in. My name is Reverend Jamie Dingus. My pronouns are she and her, and I serve you as the minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Huntsville. Welcome. We are so grateful that you've chosen to join us, whether you're here in person in our sanctuary and taking part in our pageant or joining us on YouTube. Thank you for spending your Sunday with us. As we gather together, let's center in with these words from Reverend Rebecca Savage. Rejoice. Rejoice with full hearts, beloved people of blessing, rejoice. May this time of worship celebrate what we know at our core. Blessings are real, ours to claim and to radiate outwards. Blessings are abundant, and ours to revel in and pass along. Blessings are transformational, ours to be challenged by as we grow towards the faith we know we can be. Rejoice. And as we rejoice this morning, we remember that this Sunday marks the third Sunday in the season of Advent. In the Christian tradition, Advent is the beginning of the church year, recognizing the transforming power of God in the world, looking forward to the birth of Jesus. Each week until Christmas, we light a new candle on our Advent wreath. This morning, we light the third candle. We light this candle as a symbol of joy, not just any simple cheer, but the experience of joy that cannot be contained. Advent asks us to proclaim our gladness as a gift to the world, even when sorrow and uncertainty abound. May we share our hearts through our words, our music, and the way we live our lives. Let the fullness of our joy lead to more freedom. And now, in that spirit of joy, I'd invite you to rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn. It's number 16 in your gray hymnal. 'Tis a gift to be simple. And each week following our first hymn, we remain risen and we sing our doxology and speak our words of aspiration. You can find those on the blue card in the pew back in front of you. And when we get to our words of aspiration, it's our practice to turn and face one another, speaking these words as words of promise in this community. Let's sing our doxology.
Truth and good be sung.
of this church. May the quest for truth be its sacrament and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to help one another in fellowship, this is our aspiration. You may be seated.
We are the Unitarian Universalist Church of Huntsville, a proudly inclusive spiritual community. Together, we build a broader search for meaning, a bolder form of compassion, a braver voice for justice. If you would like to support us with a monetary contribution, we would be very grateful. Your generosity does help us keep the utilities on this type of year. That would be heat, maintain our buildings and grounds, run our various ministries, pay our staff a fair wage, and of course, support organizations that share our UU values. You can donate online using the QR code on the order's service on the back, or you can put cash or check donations in the offering basket. Your complete circle of candle cards, the white ones, that you find in the pew back, can also be placed in the offering basket. You're invited to come forward during this time and quietly drop a stone into the bowl of water here next to the ramp in honor or memory of what you're holding in your heart that may be too dear to share yet. It is through your generosity that we serve our mission here at UUCH. With gratitude, we now receive the offering.
Friends, will you join me now in a time of meditation, reflection, and prayer? Spirit of love, be with us in this time of sharing. Surround us and embolden us to share our love out with the world. Our lives are filled with joys so bright they must be shared in community. Our friend Holly Baker lifts up this morning that although she's experienced a great loss this holiday season, she wanted to share a great joy that she now holds a bachelor's degree and could not have done it without the support of family and friends. Congratulations, Holly. So proud of you. And as we share our joys, we share sorrows and prayers of love and healing as well. We lift up our friend Lori Larson, our music director this morning, who is not here because she is in the hospital with gallbladder issues and awaiting surgery. And if you're thinking, oh no, that means there won't be choir practice today, well, you're wrong, because Tim Miller is going to lead choir practice today. But please send your love and care to Lori as she recovers. We think of all those who struggle with chronic pain and fatigue in this time. We wish them comfort and care and gentle interactions with our healthcare system. We can wish, right? And this morning we lift up, Jaylee Kordowski shares that the school nurse at Rainbow Elementary passed suddenly yesterday after a typical surgery. Please send thoughts to the staff and students who will have a difficult week coping with this news on a week that is supposed to be so exciting before break. Sending love to the whole Rainbow Elementary School family this morning. And as we share our joys and sorrows, our lives are filled with people and places, situations and stories, too tender to share out loud, but still in need of love and care. Let's take a breath to honor what has been shared in our hearts. Spirit of love, thank you for this space to hold our joys and sorrows. Keep inspiring us to share our love out into this hurting world. For all this and all our lives, may we say, blessed be and amen. And let's sing together in response, hymn number 1009, Meditation on Breathing. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. And now I'm going to invite forward Jess Zelaya, our Director of Religious Education, to share with us our Christmas pageant this morning.
Good morning. I have a question for you. Has anyone ever heard of Oliver Twist? How about Bob Cratchit, Tiny Tim, or Mr. Scrooge? These are all characters from books written by Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens was a Unitarian. When Charles was in his 20s, he joined a Unitarian church in London because he said Unitarians were trying to make the world a better place. He fell in love with the Unitarian faith because of the fact that they clearly cared about all people, not just a certain few. In fact, he wrote the story A Christmas Carol as a way of expressing his Unitarian beliefs and as a way to hold up that the real meaning of Christmas lies in the kindness of loving relationships and the way we share with others. So with that in mind, let's jump into our Christmas Carol No Rehearsal pageant. Here's how it works. As you arrived, you were handed a prop. If you don't have one, don't worry. If you would like one, raise your hand. We have a few left over, and a volunteer will bring you one. Do we have any? Oh, we are out. Okay. In just a minute, I'm going to read you a version of A Christmas Carol. When I say the prop you have, you will hold it up and wave it around. You can stand up with it if you want to. You can even act it out a bit. For example, when I say the line, every now and again, Mr. Cratchit will look up at the clock and sigh with a worried look on his face. Everyone with Mr. Cratchit prop will hold them up and wave them around, and some people might even pretend to look very worried. And see, does that make sense? Wonderful. Let's begin. Once upon a time, on a particularly cold Christmas Eve, an old man known as Mr. Scrooge sat busy in his office. It was well past closing time, but Mr. Scrooge and his clerk, Mr. Cratchit, were still hard at work. Every now and again, Mr. Cratchit will look at the clock and sigh with a worried look on his face as the minutes continued to pass by. After another hour had passed, Cratchit raised his head and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Scrooge, but if it's okay with you, I must be getting home now. My family is waiting for me, and also, could I please not come to work tomorrow?" "Not come to work? Bah, humbug," said Mr. Scrooge angrily. "But it's Christmas," said Mr. Cratchit. "Christmas? Bah, humbug. Christmas is a humbug." "We must make money, Mr. Cratchit. You must come to work." Mr. Cratchit begged and begged for just one day off with his family. And finally, Mr. Scrooge agreed, but not before demanding that Mr. Cratchit would work double the hours for the following week. As Mr. Cratchit was leaving, he thanked Scrooge and invited him to join their Christmas dinner. Scrooge replied by slamming the door behind him and yelling, "Bah, humbug! Christmas is humbug!"
You're a mean one, Mr. Scrooge. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Scrooge. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel. You're a monster, Mr. Scrooge. Your heart's an empty hole. Your brain is full of spiders. You got garlic in your soul, Mr. Scrooge. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole. You're a vile one, Mr. Scrooge. You have termites in your smile. You have all the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Mr. Scrooge. Given the choice between the two of you, I'd take the seasick crocodile.
Eventually, Scrooge left work and walked home to his empty house. Tired and grumpy, he sat down in front of the fire to eat his dinner. Suddenly, he heard a strange noise coming from down the hall, a noise as if someone was dragging a heavy chain. The noise came nearer and nearer until finally Scrooge saw a ghost coming in through the heavy doors. "Who are you?" Scrooge yelled. "It is me, Jacob Marley, your old business partner." Scared and confused, Scrooge yelled out, "What do you want?" "I want to warn you," the ghost of Marley called. "When I was alive, I lived just like you. unkind, and greedy. I only cared about money and business. I thought nothing of the people around me. Because of that, I must now wear these chains. And roam the world as a ghost. It's too late for me, my friend, Marley said. But you still have time. 3 spirits, 1, 2, 3, will come to you tonight. And the first will come when the clock strikes 1. Scrooge quickly pulled the blanket over his head and yelled, "You're a bad dream. Go away, go away." Eventually, it became quiet again. Mr. Scrooge drifted off to sleep. Before long, the clock struck 1. Waking Mr. Scrooge. Light flashed. The Scrooge found himself face to face with the first spirit. She was strange, like a child and an old woman at the same time. Her hair reached down her back and was white with age, but her face had not a wrinkle on it. She was dressed in white and carried a candle. "Who are you?" Scrooge called out. "Why, I'm the ghost of Christmas past. Rise and come with me." Before Scrooge knew what was happening, the ghost of Christmas past grabbed his hand, yanked him off the chair, and flew back in time. They landed outside next to a house that had been beautifully decorated for Christmas. They peered in through a window, and Scrooge could see himself as a boy playing with other children and running cheerfully. Children, if you would like to get up and run down the pews and back, you may. The children ran gleefully and cheerfully around a Christmas tree. It was a Christmas party. Scrooge could see people dancing. Children, would you like to get up and dance? And in the background, he could hear the piano playing. He leaned in closer, and he recognized the song at once. I invite you to join in singing "Deck the Halls," number 235 in the Gray Hymnal.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la. See the blazing new before us, fa la 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 la. Take the harp and join the chorus, fa la 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 la. Follow me in merry measure, fa la 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 la. While I tell of Yuletide treasure, fa la la la. Cast away the old year passes, fa la 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 la. Hail the new year, words and blessings, fa la 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 la. And we know yes, all together, fa la la la. Heedless of the wind and weather, fa la la
At the end of the song, the ghost of Christmas past asked, "Do you remember this?" "Oh, yes," said Mr. Scrooge. "Look how happy I was." The ghost of Christmas past replied, "Yes, you were. This was before money and greed became the most important things in your life. Remember this, Mr. Scrooge, because now we must go back." And just like that, she grabbed Scrooge by the hand, and they flew back to Scrooge's home where he quickly fell once again to sleep. Within no time at all, the clock struck 2. Waking Scrooge in the middle of a snore. When Scrooge opened his eyes, the ghost of Christmas Present, who had curly brown hair, sparkling eyes, and wore a green robe with white fur, stood before him. Their feet were bare, and on their head they wore a holly wreath. "Who are you, and what do you want?" asked Scrooge. "I am the ghost of Christmas Present, and I want to show you what you're missing," they said. The ghost of Christmas Present took Scrooge by the hand and flew him to Bob Cratchit's house. They peered through the window, and they could see that Cratchit's family was getting ready to eat their Christmas dinner. Miss Cratchit had just called everyone to the table when Bob Cratchit came with Tiny Tim, his youngest son, upon his shoulders. Scrooge noticed that it was not much of a Christmas dinner, and Tiny Tim seemed to look a bit ill. But the family seemed happy and full of Christmas spirit. "Listen," said the ghost of Christmas Present. Scrooge pressed his ear to the window and listened as Mrs. Cratchit said, "Let us say grace, dear Lord. We don't have much money, but we are very happy this day because we have each other. And for this, we will always be thankful. As our characters give thanks, I invite you to sing 'We Give Thanks,' number 1010 in the Teal Hymnal." Bob Cratchit added, "Let us not forget Mr. Scrooge. We must thank him for giving me the opportunity to work and for paying me on time. We are able to eat because of him." Scrooge smiled for the first time in forever. They are truly a wonderful family. But the ghost of Christmas Present, what is wrong with the little boy? "Oh, Scrooge," the ghost of Present replied, "how could you not know? Mr. Cratchit has worked for you for years. Tiny Tim is very ill, but the family has no money for medicine." Scrooge hung his head and asked the ghost what to do. "You must change your life, Scrooge, but you are running out of time," said the ghost of Christmas Present. Just then, Scrooge heard the sound of a ticking clock, and the clock struck 3. The ghost of Christmas Present disappeared. Within moments, Scrooge saw the third spirit coming toward him. Slowly and silently, it came nearer and nearer. Kids, would you like to creep up the aisles? Creep, creep. It was very tall, and it wore a deep black piece of clothing, covered its whole body, and left nothing visible but an outstretched hand. "Are you the ghost of Christmas yet to come?" Scrooge asked. "I fear you more than any other spirit." The ghost of Christmas yet to come nodded, but did not say a word. just waved for Scrooge to follow him. As they wandered through the city, Scrooge heard some men talking about a person who had just died. Scrooge thought he might have known the man and wanted to stop to find out who they were talking about, but the spirit moved on. Silently, the ghost of Christmas yet to come walked through the streets of the city. And as they went along, Scrooge looked here and there to find himself, but he was nowhere to be seen. The ghost of Christmas yet to come took Scrooge to a churchyard and stood among the graves. Slowly, he pointed down to one. Scrooge's eyes followed the ghost's finger and read upon the stone his very own name, Ebenezer Scrooge. Why do you show me this? Am I past all hope? Answer me, ghost. I don't want to become like Marley. Tell me what to do. But the ghost of Christmas yet to come remained silent. Scrooge dropped to his knees and looked up at the ghost of Christmas yet to come. I can change. I will change. I will learn to keep the Christmas spirit in my heart. In fact, I will keep it year-round. I will not ignore the lessons I have learned tonight. I will change my fate, said Scrooge, full of fear. But the ghost of Christmas yet to come did not respond. Instead, he began to shrink until finally he faded away. Scrooge held his head in his hands and cried. Eventually, he lay down in the snow and fell asleep. When he woke, Scrooge was back in his bed in his very own room. The room was dark, but he could hear church bells. Scrooge ran to the window, opened it, looked out, and saw kids playing below. Hello down there. Tell me, what day is it? He called. Why, it's Christmas, they replied. Hooray, shouted Scrooge. It's not too late. Tell me, do you know if they have sold the big Christmas ham at the market? What? The one as big as me? No, it's definitely still there, yelled the children. How wonderful. I'll buy it and bring it to the Cratchits, said Scrooge, and to himself cheerfully. Then he dressed in his Sunday best and made his way to the store and on to the Cratchits' house. When Scrooge arrived, he peered in through the first window to be sure they were home. Sure enough, there they were. So he knocked on the door. As soon as the Cratchits opened the door, Scrooge called out at the top of his lungs, Merry Christmas, everyone! He quickly asked if the invitation to Christmas dinner was still good, and so it was. So Mr. Scrooge spent the day with the Cratchit family. As they finished their feast, he rose from his chair and declared that he was going to raise Cratchit's salary. Cratchit was very surprised and grateful. As time went on, so were many people, for Scrooge really had changed. In fact, it was said from that day on, Scrooge kept the Christmas spirit better than anyone else. And from where he was once known to say, Bah, humbug! Now, this time of year, you could count on hearing him say instead, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We're going to extinguish the chalice.
We extinguish this chalice. This is reading from Duke T. Gray. The blessing of truth be upon us, the power of love direct us and sustain us, and may the peace of this community preserve our going out and our coming in from this time forth until we meet again.
Friends, thank you for exploring the spirit of Christmas with us this morning, and thank you for taking part in our little pageant. We remember this helpful story from Unitarian Charles Dickens at this time of year and remind ourselves to be extra generous and look out for those who might be having a tough time this Christmas. May we carry that message and that love with us as we go forth today. Our service now comes to a close, and I'll be back at the back of the sanctuary to greet you. And everyone is invited to stick around after our service for conversation and coffee and to get to know one another better. For now, let's leave this time of worship with this blessing. Go out in joy and gratitude. Find the sparks of love in moments of connections and opportunities to be more generous, more welcoming, more kind. Let the spirit of this holiday season lift you up and bring you peace. Amen. Blessed be. And we're going to go out singing a different song this morning. We're going to sing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas" as our rite of community. It's printed on the insert in your order of service. Let's sing together.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas.